Alright, starting the video. Hi everybody. So we have two live videos going at the moment. We have a live video on YouTube, which is the typical stream. And we have a little separate video that is streaming from my phone on Facebook, because the typical program and system that I use to stream this session to both Facebook and YouTube decided not to work for Facebook today. So I have a stream going right now on both my normal camera and on my phone. So if I'm not looking directly at you, that's why. So I'm looking where I normally look. So you have a little different view. So happy Tuesday. Here we are as always. We'll bring the intention up. If you're watching on the Facebook Live right now, you're not going to see the intention pop up. So maybe you already saw it. I allow authentic Venusian realizations to surface. I allow authentic Venusian realizations to surface. So if you want the full video that you normally see, move on over from Facebook to Meditative Astrology YouTube channel. If you're fine with what you have in front of you on Facebook, then just stick with that for a moment. I think my phone battery will make it through the session, so I think I'm just going to leave the two videos go, and we'll just let that be. So I have a new background. You guys like the new background? Let me move the intention out of the way here for a moment and just move myself out of the way. Look how beautiful that is. It's bigger than the last background that I had, so it covers this whole wall, which is a little bit bigger than what you see here. But yeah, new moon came through end of last week, and the space that I do this meditation in, I cleaned the entire, it's my own little room, my own little space, and I cleaned the entire room, physically, energetically, and spiritually reset the entire room. Literally, I took everything out of this room, every piece of furniture, which is just a few things. I have a bookshelf, I have an altar space and a desk that I left, but everything that you see behind me, like the little table, my bookshelf, all that stuff came out, and I cleaned every inch, the shelves that are on the wall, and just put a nice reset in here. New moon and sign of Aquarius was in my 4th house, the roots and home, right at the base of my chart. So it just worked out that way, and it was really, really nice. So hey guys, I'm trying to look in the comments on both here. So thanks for sticking with me, and thanks for bearing with me today too. So bring your intention back up here. I allow Venusian realizations to surface. Let me just coordinate my couple screens here. Bear with me a moment, friends. Kind of threw me for a loop a little bit at the very end there. But we have just a few things that we are bringing into this intention this week. Venusian themes, not specifically because of Valentine's Day. Sorry guys, give me just a minute here. Threw me off a little bit here at the very end to getting things situated. So if this is your first time here, this is not exactly the way it normally goes. It's usually a little bit more organized than this. So this week, you may already know, because we've mentioned it in passing in the last couple weeks, we have both Mars and Venus both moving to the sign of Aquarius. And what is sitting at the cusp of Aquarius right now? Pluto. We all know that Pluto is sitting at 0 degrees of Aquarius. So both Mars and Venus, as they come through into Aquarius, Mars is already there. So Mars is sitting in conjoined with Pluto now as this live session is going. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So we have that coming in right now, and then as we move through the rest of the week, towards the end of the week, we have Venus coming into a conjunction with Pluto. Our intention, I allow authentic Venusian realizations to surface. So there's a lot of Venus focus within the chart in different subtle ways. Mars moving into Aquarius, very, very important. The place where you see Aquarius in your chart, that is where you may see some action and some movement, some drives and some motivations in some way, as Mars spends its time in the sign of Aquarius. But Venus moving to Aquarius, also equally important, and Venus moving to Aquarius, so then we will have, we'll have Pluto, we'll have the Sun, we'll have Mars, and we'll have Venus, all in the sign of Aquarius. Mercury will make its way there next week shortly. So we will have both the Sun, the light, the power source, and the purpose, right? The overall Godhead of our solar system that we all reside in. So this powerful energy of the Sun is within the sign of Aquarius. Now we have the divine feminine and the divine masculine energy both there. Okay, we have complementary energies together, balancing each other. The masculine and the feminine both coming in. And Mars is going to give us this like push and this drive and this motivation. But I want to talk about a little bit more of a long picture. So we've talked a lot about Uranus and Jupiter being in the sign of Taurus, right? We've talked about a lot about the sign of Taurus. We have this square going on between Aquarius and Taurus right now. A little while back we had the eclipses over Taurus and Scorpio axis. So we've talked a lot about Taurus in the last few years. We've talked about Venus quite a bit too through Taurus. Venus went through retrograde over the summer in the sign of Leo. So there's been a lot of Venusian talk and things like that going on anyways. So as those two move into Aquarius and conjoin Pluto, then we have Mercury squaring Uranus at the end of the week here. Okay, so two planets move into the sign of Aquarius, and then Mercury, our mind, our thoughts, our perception, and remember the tools and the resources and things that come to us as well are also within Mercury's domain. Coming into a square, coming into that Mars-like challenging us to push and to move square with Uranus, okay? So this is an aspect that might make you feel a little bit uncomfortable, a little bit on edge, but maybe just enough to make you move a little bit. I'm going to move this forward because my husband's telling me you can't hear me very well. There we go. Okay. Sorry, like I said, we're a little out of sorts today, but that's okay. It's that Uranus stuff going on. We're going to bring it down to the Venus stuff going on here. Okay, so Mars squaring Uranus. It's going to give us that pushing, it's that within our mind and our thoughts and the way we process things, coming into a square with Uranus with this planet of surprise and invention and things happening very quickly and very suddenly. It's giving us this possibility to see things in our mind in a little bit of a different way. It's this inventive mind. Mercury and Uranus always makes me think of like the quick sudden enlightenment or like the downloads coming through. So if you see that coming about later on this week, that's where that's coming from. Little insights, little tidbits, little bits of information that pop into your head. Keep those because those are important information from spirit somehow. We have Mercury is the messenger god, Hermes, and Uranus, the god that stole the fire from the gods and gave it to human, right? In the form of technology and knowledge and inventions and enlightenment. So you have these two different, actually, if in modern astrology, Uranus is considered to be the higher octave of Mercury. I don't necessarily say that because to me, the higher octave puts Mercury at a lower octave and that puts like a hierarchy for me. I don't think that one is above the other, so that's just my own preference with the wording. So I don't necessarily think that one is like higher vibration than the other, but they are both planets that bring things into us very, very, very quickly. And Uranus is sitting in the sign of Taurus, where it's been sitting for quite a while, right? So Uranus is answering to Venus right now, okay? Yeah, I'm looking at the comments. Melissa said, more download, please, here for it. Calling it in. You're calling it in. You're initiating it. You're bringing it to you. So when it happens, you know where it came from. So Uranus is in the sign of Taurus is answering to Venus. And Uranus in the sign of Taurus has, for quite some time now, has had most of us starting to have some sort of questions, some sort of uneasiness or uncomfortableness within the Taurian side of Venus within our life. So what exactly does that mean? Venus rules over things that balance, things that harmonize, things that bring beauty and appreciation. In the sign of Taurus, that's in a more of a physical, material, plane type way. We move into the sign of Libra, which is an air sign. It's more of a mental, intellectual balancing of the scales, where in the sign of Taurus, it's more of a physical, material, or maybe even like a tactile or sensual, like dealing with the senses type situation. So, maybe some people, depending on where Taurus falls within your chart, I think it's important for everybody to know where Taurus is within their chart here in the next few months. But wherever Taurus is within your life, or where these Venus topics are showing up, even if you don't know your chart, your birth chart, and you don't know what your rising sign is, which will give you this subsequential houses, you can start to think about the Venus topics within your life. So the Taurian, Venusian type topics are things like physical beauty, physical attraction, the physical environment around us. It might be that the things that are around us aren't quite satisfying us anymore, or not quite getting the job done. It might be that we need other things to possibly come in. Venus deals with money, it deals with love, it deals with friendship, it deals with the feminine energy within our lives. So often it has to deal with the women that are in our lives. Wherever you see that divine feminine energy, you can find Venusian Taurus, in like aesthetics of a room. So maybe somebody redecorates a room or something like that. Kind of like I just did here with the background. And the tension here, that's the word that I'm looking for. It's like there's a little bit of tension within the sign of Taurus, or wherever the area of Taurus is within our life. So if you have planets there, there's a little bit of tension underneath those planets of looking to possibly change something. So it's like, what is not working anymore, and what is causing us a little bit of grief here? This is why I think our intention this week, I allow authentic Venusian realizations to surface, is important. The surfacing part, that's Pluto. We'll talk a little bit about that. But I think, we have Jupiter and Uranus both sitting in the sign of Taurus. And I think as Jupiter moves closer to Uranus, we know that at the end of April, beginning of May, we have the conjunction between Uranus and Jupiter in the sign of Taurus. Now the two planets are just about 10 degrees apart. So as these planets start to get closer, I think those of us that have not already started to feel this tension where Taurus is within our own lives, I think if we haven't already started to feel that or started to recognize that a little bit, then over these next couple months, if it's something that is going to show up for you, then it's going to start to show its head. This will show up for everybody, but for some people it'll be stronger than others. So with Venus, it could be some huge revolting breakthrough with some sort of feminine energy within your life. It could be as much as a relationship that can be romantic or otherwise, dealing with any aspect of the women in your life. So often like sisterhood and friendship, that type of thing shows up within Taurus, Venus Taurus as well. But if we haven't started to see that showing up yet, it's going to start to show up. So we're going to start to have these realizations of where we need to bring some sort of abundance within the sign of Taurus. Where, you know, maybe things have worked up to this point, maybe we've made it by, maybe we've gotten by just far, but we know that things could be better. We know that we could change something to improve things or make things somewhat better, okay? The sign of Aquarius, with these planets in Aquarius, are always often looking for the progressive movement towards something better, or even possibly the movement back towards something better. So it's, you can have both this very progressive ideal, mental ideal in Aquarius, or you can have this very like mental progressive, like we don't need to go forward into something different, we need to progress forward back into like what was good. So it's like living in the past type of thing, or wanting to come back to something because we feel like that is the ideal or that is where the focus should be. Often it's very forward thinking, but it can be that way too. So if you haven't noticed things within the sign of Taurus, if you don't know where Taurus is, think about these Venusian themes. You know, it could even be something as small as some sort of breakthrough in like cooking. Food is very much a Taurian type topic. So it could be that somebody has some big breakthrough in cooking. Maybe you are somebody that ate out all the time and all of a sudden you start to find a way to enjoy foods and to be able to cook them at home and to, you know, like maybe before you really kind of like dreaded the process, but now you find a way to enjoy that process of like cutting up the foods and putting them in the pan and watching them cook, and then like that satisfaction of eating your own food. These are just different ideas. Looking at the comments, Melissa, 3rd and 4th house. Yeah, so you have an angular house there too, in the 4th house. You seeing things show up? You will. All good things. All good things for sure. So, yeah, I think there's this huge focus on Venus when we do both, when we do and when we don't have Venus aspects right now, because a big part of this year is the Jupiter-Uranus action, especially within the first half of the year. So it feels like we're in the build-up phase, especially now that we're within like that 10 degree separation range. As we start to get closer, so we are, what are we, about a little over halfway through February, as we get into March, and as we definitely get into the first part of April. If things are, you see things starting to kind of move, if you see some sort of like, you start to feel like some sort of trigger to like change something a little bit or to do things slightly different, you might start to notice some breakthroughs and some breakaways where Taurus is, and where Taurus is where we find Venus within our lives. So, yeah, I allow Venusian realizations, so the realizing things, as Jupiter, the planet of abundance and knowledge and learning, higher knowledge, starts to come closer to this planet of rebellion, this planet of breakaway, this planet of, no, we're going to do this and we're going to do it right now. It's very like sudden. It could be like suddenly explosive, where the explosion that I see with Pluto, or that I feel we see with Pluto, isn't necessarily something that kind of comes out of left field. So, you know, that's why I say with this Jupiter-Uranus thing, and Uranus being in the sign of Taurus, it's gonna be, it might be something that, like, you know, you thought everything was good, you thought everything was fine, you thought like maybe there wasn't necessarily a bunch of work to do, or like you thought things were gonna turn out just well, and then all of a sudden it turns out pretty quickly that things need to change a little bit in order for them to work well. That's Uranus. Pluto aspects, I feel, are more things that are like a slow burn. Often have heard Pluto referred to as being like a pimple, okay? So if you think about like a pimple on your face or a zit or something like that, like there's a build up to that, right? It's yes, all of a sudden the pimple shows up and it's ready to like be popped, but there's this slow buildup of material that builds up within that. I'm looking at the comments here real quick. Linda, how do you know that? Are you asking Melissa how she knows what houses Taurus is within her own chart? Do you know your rising sign, Linda? Because if you know your rising sign, then we can figure out what house Taurus is within your own chart. With that being said, I do use the whole house system. So if you use a different house system, a different way of breaking up the chart, then it might be a little bit different. So like how Melissa said, third and fourth, if we change to either the equal house system or Placidus or one of the many other systems, because there literally is about a dozen of them, it can change things. So I look at things from a whole sign house system typically. Let's see, Robert, is the change always challenging or can it be a good sudden change? So I think the part that I think is always going to be challenging with Uranus is that initial uncomfortableness that Uranus makes us feel to make us move. Mars is a planet that makes us move, but it makes us move in a way from like a pure drive and motivation and like adrenaline, right? Mars makes us move because we want to go someplace. So with Uranus, it's more of like wanting to get away from something or wanting to escape from something. I always feel, Uranus I often feel starts with feeling like you're under a thumb of some kind. So it starts out where you have to be a little bit uncomfortable, and that's challenging. But then the breakthrough and what comes from it, that can be extremely liberating, is extremely releasing. The conjunction that we have with Jupiter coming in with Uranus, that is going to be a positive blessing of some kind, but there's some uncomfortableness probably in order to get there. So as Jupiter comes into contact with Uranus, it's going to bring some sort of positive level around it there. Okay, Linda, so you're an Aries rising, so then I would put Taurus in your second house. So I would start looking at your money and your finances and your resources that you have. So I would look at your physical properties that you have, the things that you own, the resources that you have. Also, the resources that you have on a less physical level can have can be like our mental resources, so like our own self-worth and things like that in the sign of Taurus. And then you can look and see where Venus is in your chart too. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense, Robert. It's a process. It's very process oriented here, as this like slow burn, as we have, we've had as the planets move across, they are all making aspects to Uranus, and Jupiter is slowly closing in on those two. So I just think that with this intention, we have the first quarter moon coming up on Friday into Saturday too, and that first quarter moon is in the sign of Taurus. So we had the new moon in Aquarius at the end of last week, and hi Lynn, it's good to see you here. Yeah, that Nikita is who you think it is. Anyways, sorry, I lost my train of thought there for just a second. Okay, first quarter moon. So we had a new moon at the end of last week. Then the next phase is the first quarter moon. So this is the opening square of the lunar cycle. Basically, it is an individuating stage. So we have the seeding, we have the initiation, and then we have the individuation. So then we have, like, say, if the new moon is like the planting and sowing of the seed and the watering of the seed, the first quarter moon is when the plant sprouts. Now when a seedling sprouts and you have a plant that starts to individuate and it starts to come up from the ground and it starts to release itself from the soil, that plant itself is strong and it has willpower and it's moving up towards the light. But that plant is still quite fragile and still quite susceptible to things, right? It's very vulnerable still. So it's in this pushing through individuating stage. And this is so things are starting to come up and come to the surface in the sign of Taurus that Venus rules. So these Venusian realizations starting to come to the surface possibly here within this next week. And then just continuing on forward. So you're, okay, Robert, Scorpio Sun with a Cancer. I'm not going to lie. I made a little cheat sheet because it takes me a minute to count them in my head. So I did make a little cheat sheet for this. So if you're a Cancer rising, Taurus is your 11th house. So the groups that you're associated with, your friends and your allies, and the organizations that you may be a part of, the things that bring you great benefit, usually through groups and communication somehow. And then if you have any planets there, that will be, you can look at that too. Also, that means that if you're a Scorpio Sun, all of this is going to be opposite. So if you have Taurus in your 11th house, 5th house is where your Scorpio is. So there's going to be this pull, push and place somewhere between what you create in the 5th house and your own creative endeavors, possibly since things that we create are children and grandchildren, things like that. It could have something to do with our children and our lineage that way, but often it gets to a point where it's the things that we create, our physical, what we create and what we can manifest within our own self. So what are your own creative endeavors? And then what is created by the group? So in the 5th house, what do you create? And then in the 11th house, what is created by those that support you and those that bring benefits somehow? Your sun's going to play a factor depending on where the degree is too. So I think you should look at that a little bit and see where you feel like that's playing out. So those are the aspects that I have. I allow authentic Venusian realizations to surface. I also put in parentheses, come to light. So Pluto brings things up from the depths, things that come up very, very far, things that have been pushed down and stuffed down. So that's why I say these are like slow burn things, okay? And things are going to start to surface as Venus comes across Pluto the later half of this week. You might really start to have some things come up from the subconscious, things come up from the depth that maybe even in the early half of this week with Mars, there can really be some tension with things like, damn, I thought we were over that. I thought we already addressed all of this and went through all this and here we are again. That type of thing. Or why is this coming back to me? And having a little bit of like frustration and a little bit of maybe even aggression possibly. Or it could be the motivation and the drive to get through that subconscious material and keep working and to get through the weeds, get through what we have kind of pushed away here. So we have that with Mars, and then we have it with Venus. Also next week we'll be talking about Mars and Venus coming together in a conjunction, and Venus will be in the superior position for that. So Venus will be conjoining with Mars. That's another aspect where I feel like Venus is just another little tidbit of where I feel like Venus is a key player that we have going on right now within this intention that we have. So yeah, that's that. I did pull a couple cards, so we don't have to do it live this time, Melissa. Maybe we should just start doing it live. That was really cool. I still thank you for doing that. Also, Melissa has a birthday coming up, so everybody should say happy birthday to Melissa. Aquarius, our resident Aquarius here. At least one of them. So, our two cards that, okay, oh yeah, two cards, because that's my typical MO here, right? Thank you for being here, Linda. I appreciate you coming and being here, even if this is your first time. It's usually a little bit less chaotic than this. Like I said, my computer system just at the last minute did not want to work right. I think that's only happened once, maybe twice before. So usually it's all coordinated a little bit better. Also, the picture looks a little better on YouTube too, because you can't see this light that's hanging above me. It looks super sweet on the thing behind me. Anyways, so two cards. Did not have an intention of pulling two of them, but when I was shuffling, card popped out, and I did not realize that there was another card stuck behind it. So two came right back out. So first card, the Six of Pentacles. So Pentacles represents an earth sign, like Taurus. So look at this little guy. He has the abundance. He has made it past the 5. He's made it past the struggle. Now he's in the 6, and he has all of this abundance and all this wealth around him that he's sharing it with others. So it's having this abundance and having so much that there's enough to go around to not only just you, but to others. To me, this card is very much Jupiter in the sign of Taurus. And as Jupiter comes into contact with Uranus, and as we have surprise abundances show up where we feel like we've had maybe a little bit of tension and maybe a little stress, and then, maybe we've had to work for something, all of these pentacles are going to show up here, so that way you have more than enough to move forward in the future. So that was the first card that popped up. And then right underneath that was the 5 of Cups. And I thought that was kind of interesting because, this is kind of a paralleling card in a way. So Pentacles representing earth, Cups representing water. So complementary elements to start with. So they're working together. They're different, but they're working together. This guy, this little swan here, he is looking at these cups that are spilt, that the water has spilt of underneath him. And that's what he's focusing on. He's not even noticing the flowers that are growing behind him. So he's focusing on that spilt water in the cups that have spilt in front of him. He's not focusing on the positive. He's focusing on the struggle or what has happened in front of him here. So the commonality between these two are that they both have the abundances, and they both probably have what they need. But with the Pentacles coming up and the Cups coming up here, it's telling me that the tension is very much there for many people within this aspect, within this Venusian area that we're talking about. There's some sort of tension and there's some sort of distraction here going on. But the bigger picture, what showed up first is not the distractions. What showed up first was the abundances. So first and foremost is what's in front of us is the abundance. First and foremost, what's in front of us is the blessings and the goodness that is coming our way. So as long as we focus on that, this despair and this wallowing over, some spilt water, like what is that spilt water doing? Honestly, it's probably moistening the earth for the flowers that are growing behind the swan. So it's very like this 5 of Cups showing up as a card that I wasn't expecting. It feels very much to me like, yes, the water has spilt out of the cups. Yes, things did not turn out the way you wanted them. You did not expect the water to spill. You did not expect to kick it over with your foot. But at the same time, that water that has spilt has moved out of your way to create something else beautiful that is going to grow, like these flowers that are behind it, okay? So there may be some stress, there may be some tension, there may be something that we need to let go of, especially this week as planets start to come into contact with Pluto. There's some intensity that comes along with that. If we focus on the positive outcome that we can, and this is pretty standard, this is pretty basic, right? But it's showing up right here in the cards, so here we are, we're talking about it. And it fits. It fits because I've talked about stress and tension and things being out there, right? And maybe just feeling a little bit like you're not able to go do what you want to do type of thing, or you're not able to get to where you want to get type of thing. But it's there. The abundances and the blessings are there, and you will get there. You'll just get there in your own time. So I like these two for what we have going on. I think it fits very, very well. And I'm always thankful for the universe giving us multiple tools to get to the same answer. So we have discussion, we look at the astrology, we pull cards, and it all gets us back to the same answer, right? So that's that. Table is here, but not quite close enough for everybody to see. And I need to grab my matches. So just a minute. Okay, so we're not going to have a candle tonight, but that's okay. We will visualize the candle being lit. Like I said, for those of you that are not normally here, this is a little different than it normally goes. So we'll just move along and get to our meditation, huh? How about that? So I allow authentic Venusian realizations to surface. I allow authentic Venusian realizations to surface. If you have a candle that you light, I encourage you to go ahead and do that now. And then focus on that. As you light that candle, focus on that flame. As you see the candle ignite, imagine your intention igniting and sparking. And then as you watch that flame grow, imagine your intention growing. Imagine your blessings and your abundance growing. How about that? Okay? I'm going to start with a couple deep breaths because I usually start doing that with the candle. So, yeah. Good. Okay. So, if you haven't already, find a nice comfortable position. We have a little different angle with our Facebook feed, so make yourself comfortable. I always am sitting on a meditation cushion during our meditations. If you need pillows, if you need blankets, if you need to sit in any specific way, I don't want anything to be forced tonight because we are looking for Venusian realizations. We are not forcing things. Venus does not force, okay? Venus lets things flow and lets things come. In the sign, coming into the sign, well, still in Capricorn right now, but coming into the sign of Aquarius, very much within the realm of our minds and our thoughts. But letting things, looking for balance and looking for harmony within our mind. And if we're trying to force ourselves into sitting into a meditation pose or sitting in an uncomfortable way or forcing ourselves physically in any way, it's not going to flow. So you just do whatever works well for you here, okay? Perfect. Good. All right. Let's start by finding our nice comfortable position. And I don't know about you, but I feel like I just have some energy to get out, probably just from the way things are going in here today. So if you want to shake out a little bit of energy too, go ahead and do that. If you don't feel like you need to or don't want to or whatever like that, then don't. So for finding a place of stillness, shake out a little bit of energy, and then take in a nice deep breath. I allow authentic Venusian realizations to surface. I allow authentic Venusian realizations to surface. I allow authentic Venusian realizations to surface. Let's take a moment to check in with our breath as we get started on our meditation. Take a moment to make space, recognize where your energy level is right now. Before changing anything, before trying to mindfully meld our breath and our body, just take stock of where you are right now. What is the quality of your breath? Is it slow and steady? Is it fast and labored? Is it short and shallow? How about your physical body? We're focusing on the sign of Taurus. The physical, material appreciation for our body. Where might you feel a little bit of tension within your body at this moment? You can start with a quick scan, starting at the tips of your toes, moving up to your feet, to your ankles, into your calves, into your knees, looking for any tension or any stress anywhere that we're holding, up into our thighs and then up into our hips, across our pelvic region, into our lower abdomen, also focusing on the lower back at the same time, slowly scanning up our abdomen, up our torso, into our chest. Where, if anywhere, are you finding a little bit of resistance? Place where maybe you need to bring a little bit of softness into your shoulders and your neck. Perhaps down your arms into your fingertips. Or perhaps right up to your head, right up to your crown. Think about where you may be holding a little bit of stress or tension in your body. And if you didn't find anywhere during the scan, that's great. Absolutely fantastic. But chances are, most of us have some area that we're holding onto something. So I want you to focus on that area now in your mind's eye. Physically see that part of your body. Exactly the way it looks. And on your next deep breath in, I want you to energetically feel yourself bringing in that positive air and energy into that area of your body. And as you breathe out, release tension from that place in your body. Breathing in again, breathing in love and awareness of the stress and tension. Exhale, releasing stress and tightness. Another nice deep breath in, still breathing into this spot. If you noticed multiple areas, feel free to switch at any time. Deep breath in. Exhale out. Breathing in love and light into that stressed area of our body. And on the exhale, feel your body soften in that area. Next breath in. Next breath out. Next breath in. Next breath out. And now I want you to picture yourself outside in some sort of natural space, perhaps with some sort of greenery around you. Whether that's you laying in the grass under a blue sky or walking through a wooded area. Or perhaps it's a vision of a flower. Visualize the scene of nature, and then bring yourself there. You take a nice deep breath in, and you feel nice, wonderful, cooling, fresh air entering your lungs. atmosphere around us. And you exhale, releasing the air back into the ethers. Next deep breath in. What do you smell? What do you feel when you breathe in the environment that you're in? Exhale. In this landscape of nature, in this place where it's just you, your soul, and the world around you, you find a nice comfortable place to sit. And as we sit down, we are here just to ponder what has been going on in our lives around us. Where have the Venusian themes of balance and harmony been slightly disrupted? Where has the flow, where has the love and the aesthetics slightly waned or become slightly different than what we would like it to be? And as we think and contemplate, we let these thoughts come into our brain without any judgment for how we did or did not respond. We let the thoughts go just as easily as they came to us. Perhaps another thought comes and goes as you think and as you ponder and as you wonder, what could I do here? How could I make things better, more abundant, more peaceful, less stressful? Where does it feel like there's a little bit of tension? And on an exhale, we let that go. Next breath in and out. Continuing this process of breathing in and breathing out calmly as you think about this area of your life. Now we're going to take that same area. We're going to flip the script. So now I want you to take that same area of your life that you've been thinking of, where there's these themes of perhaps improvement or breakthrough needed. But I want you to consider that situation and think about the positive that's already there. If this is difficult, no worries. Perhaps the positive is that you have acknowledged it. Perhaps the positive is an abundance or a blessing that we tend to ignore because we're looking for a different one. There's always a positive and there's always a negative. Just as if there's two sides to every coin. And as we think about the positive in this area of our life, we take the nice, fullest, deepest breath we've taken all day. Breathing in that love and that abundance and that positivity we are extracting from a situation that is less than ideal. We allow the Venusian realizations of the situation to come to the surface, perhaps even enlightening us in a way and letting us see things slightly differently to be able to come to the resolution. And as you get ready to close this meditation, as you get ready to leave the safe, natural space that you have been granted to ponder and to question, you notice the sun coming up overhead, shining bright and strong, warming you anywhere that you may have felt a chill. This light comes down and envelopes all around your body. And as this warm light shines down upon you, warming your face, your head, and your shoulders, and then the rest of your body. Start to think and you start to realize that it's all going to work out just fine, because it's all going to work out the way that it's meant to. Jupiter and Uranus in the sign of Taurus, Venusian realizations, Venusian knowledge, Venusian breakthroughs, Venusian liberation. What chains do you need to break away from? When you stand up from your seat, basking in the sun for another moment, perhaps you lift your chin slightly to feel that light on you even more. And you thank the sun for its reminder. You thank the universe for the support and the ability to move forward, co-creating along with the universe, along with all of the other lives that are within ours, surrounding our physical being. All those other souls that have plans too. It all comes together perfectly in a moment of chaos. Before leaving, you raise your arms up to the sky, thanking the universe. Thank you, thank you, thank you. For now, you have not only thought about the difficult and the struggle, but you have also considered the positive end of a situation that perhaps may be less than ideal for you. Somewhere that you feel we're going to get to a little better place. Thank you, all of you, for being here. Thank you for sticking through the craziness. Those of you that are not new here, you know that things usually roll a little smoother around here. Those of you that may be new and maybe this is the first time, come back next week. So every Sunday a new intention is released. You can find that on the Meditative Astrology Facebook page, Meditative Astrology Instagram page, the Meditative Astrology YouTube channel on the Community tab. Also, meditativeastrology.com is the hub for all things meditative astrology. You can find the Facebook event to correlate with the next meditation. So there is always a Facebook event that correlates with each week's meditation. If you're somebody that uses Facebook social media, then I encourage you to go to Meditative Astrology Facebook page, click on the events tab, click on the event for next week, February 20th, I believe, and click and respond that like you're going or interested or whatever it is that you want to do. That helps other people find the event. I used to be in a really good habit of sharing the intention there a little earlier, so it'll give you a little more time to contemplate. As always, the intentions are fed by the energies that are around us. So looking at the placements of the planets as we discussed today, looking at the aspects, and coming up with an intention that we can all share broadly while you make it your own. So look for that on Sunday, and I will see you back here next Tuesday. So I hope you all have a great week, and I hope you have a very enlightening and a good time pondering this week. Let's just say that. Pondering both the positive and the not so positive. So I hope you all have a great week, and I will see you next week. As always, reach out at any time, okay? All right. Y'all have a good one. Bye. Those of you that are with us on YouTube, we're still